Movie theatres have been open in several parts of the country now for weeks. But it's only today that the cinema halls have been open in the heart of the movie industry in Mumbai, in Maharashtra. This is, after all, where the movie industry and where Bollywood lives. We've taken this opportunity to come and visit one of the cinema halls that has opened and bring you a perspective of what this really means. It's been a tough time for movie makers, no doubt. They have had to face a habit-forming trend of people slouching on their couches and watching one OTT channel after the other. Can they manage to bring people back to the movie hall? Well, where we are here, we are seeing some footfalls, but it has to pick up. The big blockbusters are yet to release. So let's talk a bit more about this from people with the industry sharing their perspective. Kamal Gianchandani, CEO, PVR Pictures, with me on the show today. Kunal Sawhney joining us on the show, COO of Carnival Cinemas. Sanjay Gupta, noted director and producer, speaking with us. Great to have you on the show. And of course, Komal, Nahta, film trade analyst, also with us on the show. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for speaking with us on what is a big day for the movie industry. Mr. Gianchandani, let me begin by getting your perspective. Are you confident of bringing the cinema goers back into the hall, those who have gotten used to, as I said, lying on their couches and watching movies for a fraction of the cost?
Firstly, I think it's a big day. You're absolutely right, because Maharashtra is such a critical component of a fully functional film industry that without Maharashtra, most of the producers, our talent community, our content partners were very uncomfortable releasing their films. But that's where the entire film business, the entire industry, all the decision makers are based. So I think it's a massive day for the business, and it's also the beginning of the recovery process, not just for exhibition business, but also for the film business. To your question, whether we are confident to have people back, frankly, we've been open in other states since end of July. So August, September, half of October, we've been open in Delhi, Haryana, Uttar Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, all other major states. And we've had, a very, very sort of regular slate of releases in regional cinemas. So be it Telugu cinema, Tamil films, Punjabi films, and of course, Hollywood films have been releasing regularly in the last 2.5 months. And the response and the numbers that we've seen at the box office are extremely encouraging. I would also like to point out that when you look at the international markets, and not just markets like China or Korea, which are closer home, but even more developed markets like US, where studios have been releasing films, in theaters and on streaming platforms day and date. Even in those markets, cinema box office has bounced back in a big way. I mean, we're already seeing films which are performing pretty much at the similar as pre-COVID levels. So we are totally confident and we are totally ready to receive people.
Well, Sanjay Gupta, as the creative talent on this panel, how do you feel about movie theatres opening up again? Do you think OTT has also given an alternate in terms of creative license to people, to performers, to producers, to directors, and now they will have to bring that sensibility back to the big screen?
Well, thank you for having me on the show. It is a very big day for us today. Being a film person, making films for the large screen, and having done that all my life. But having said that, a return to normalcy, I don't see that happening very soon. We're used to certain numbers pre-pandemic. When an Akshay Kumar film comes out, a Salman Khan film comes out, or even a John Abraham film comes out, there are certain numbers. And when you say normalcy, I want to see those numbers. And those numbers are not coming with 50% occupancy and limited shows and stuff like that. And the restrictions, even inside the theater, you cannot eat, you cannot take your mask off. So it's not going to be an easy ride to get back to normalcy. I mean, that is my personal take. As far as content is concerned, yes, we have in the past year and a half been exposed to the long format. We've been exposed to films, and yes, the convenience of our couches. So that is something that will take a lot more than just theaters opening for people to discard those habits. Like I'll just give you a very simple example. I see my kids every morning doing day school. I mean, school from home. They used to lie down on the couch every time we had to say, "Beta, come on, sit up, this, that, everything." Once they get back to school, for them to get back into that, into the regular format, it's going to take a while. But I guess that's something nobody can foretell. But we can all hope for the best.
Yeah. No, but Sanjay, just taking that example forward of your kids homeschooling, because that's something a lot of us are experiencing. Aren't they also itching to get back to school?
Of
and
course,
that comes from the perspective of revenge travel, revenge shopping.
No, they absolutely are. They absolutely are. They say that every day. And when you say revenge travel, revenge shopping, I agree with you on that front also. But your revenge travel is without restrictions. You see, I mean, the flights are chock-a-block full, and hotels and everything else. Only thing is, I mean, and that is a logic I don't understand. I can see 150 people stuffed inside a BST bus, 1,000 people inside a train, but in a theater, they need a seat in between them. So in that sense, that logic is something that I don't really get. And yeah, I mean, that's it.
Yeah. Kunal, I want you to come in on this. Of course, it's a big day. Everyone's happy. And like Kamal also said, theatres have been open in other major markets. But the big releases have been waiting for Mumbai and Maharashtra, isn't it? And will this restriction, which continues, of 50% occupancy be a bit of a dampener?
Thanks for having me on the show. So I would like to start where the first lockdown happened and when the cinemas were allowed to open in October last year, and again the second lockdown. So it took around 4 to 5 months for people to get used to come to cinema. But luckily what has happened is, when after second lockdown, when the cinemas have started, all other states leaving free. So Kerala is opening on Monday and Maharashtra is open from today. So people have come back from where they left. So that period which we lost in the first lockdown, it's not there. If there are content, people have come, and we have proved this in Telangana, Tamil Nadu, or Punjabi for that matter, which is doing extremely good. Is coming in, where now Punjab has also increased the occupancy. There are states which has increased the occupancy more than 50%. But coming back to Maharashtra, yes, which contributes around 25 to 26% of the Bollywood movie, it is an issue. But the way people are coming in, what we have seen is there is a shift in weekday-weekend ratio. What people were used to watch a movie on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, thanks to work from home or school is there, we are shifting that. People have learned to that come down on a movie for a Monday, Tuesday, or a Wednesday. So this shift is giving them more space to come in. Yes, there will be a drop in the overall collection, but it will not hamper much. And we are sure that now with government, today also Honorable Prime Minister said that people will come out, and Diwali is a period where everybody comes out. We are super confident that this restriction also will go very soon, with us touching at 100 crores of first jab today.
Yeah, but if you remember that message, it also said 100 crores doesn't mean we become complacent. So that will be the big question. Komal, Nahta, tell us what is lined up. I mean, what can people look forward to if they're coming back to the movie hall? The question so far has been that people have been exposed to a huge amount of entertainment. There's been an explosion of content during the pandemic, and people binge watch because they had nothing better to do. So there has to be a solid lineup to call people back to the movie halls. Do you see that lineup taking place?
Definitely. There's Suryavanshi, there's 83, there's Jersey, there's Satyamev Jayate 2, there's Gangubai Kathiawadi, there is RRR. I can go on and on and on. There is at least one major release, one big star-studded release every week. And there's no dearth of films. And as for your earlier question about people getting used to binge watching, etc., the very fact that cinema is an experience which cannot be replicated at home, that itself will bring the audience to the cinemas. I have absolutely no doubt that the audience will come in large numbers, huge numbers, and probably we will see collections of the kind never seen before in Bollywood. Mark my words, because people are fed up, tired, sick of sitting at home and watching content for free in that sense of the term. So it's never about spending money and as against watching for free. It's about an experience. The cinema experience cannot be replicated at home, and for that, people are willing to pay money. It may take longer to reach the figure of that 150 crore or 200 crore. Probably a film used to reach that mark, maybe if a film used to reach that mark in 2 weeks, now it may take 3 weeks, because please understand, the houseful or near houseful, 85, 90%, 95% occupancy happens for the first 3 days only. After that, it is always 40 to 50% occupancy. Yeah. So now we will have, suppose in 50% occupancy, the houses are full or near full. So in the first 3 days of the week or the weekend will be 45%, 45%, 45%, considering the 100% houses. After that, Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, even if we talk about 40% occupancy, we are making good that shortfall of the first 3 days. In the second weekend, again, if we have 45% occupancy, and in the weekdays, probably 35% occupancy, in 2 or 3 weeks, we will have netted what we would have netted in the first week. So I don't see a huge shortfall happening if the content is good. And therefore, I am convinced that we will get to see business like old time's sake, probably better.
Probably better. Wow. I want Sanjay Gupta to come in on this. That's a lot of optimism coming in from Komal, Nahta. Do you think the kind of content that people will be exposed to will live up to those expectations?
I would first like to say, Komal, tere muh mein ghee shakkar. That is all that we want as filmmakers and exhibitors, and and I really hope and pray that is true. And having said that, but I have serious doubts on content which we are going to be exposed to now is content that was created pre-pandemic, where we had no clue that suddenly we're going to have an audience that is, I understand the theatrical experience. I'm not getting into that. I'm getting into whether, for example, the masala film, the formula films. Yes, there is a major section that has really missed it. But there is also, at least in my personal circle, I've also, there's a lot of people who are not looking forward to that kind of cinema anymore over this last period of year and a half. That excitement level, I'm not seeing it in my friends and the people that I know. That, oh man, I want to go see this film, first day for sure, this superstar, that superstar. That worries me a little, that have the taste changed. I'm not talking about the numbers, I'm talking about the taste for content, the taste for those films which were made, at that point of time. And the audience today, I definitely feel the audience today is far more evolved. So one will, I'm just hoping for the best, but one will just have to wait and watch.
No, I get your point. The fact that a major OTT platform is releasing a slew of K-dramas and knows that there is now a group of Indians who love watching Korean serials also makes you think whether audience tastes have changed. Kamal, you want to come in on this point? 2 points actually, whether the 50% capacity limit is a dampener and whether there is going to be a situation where audience tastes may have changed and sooner or later the content will have to catch up.
So in an ideal world, 50% is not something which you encourage. You want to have 100% capacity. That said, I agree with Kunal. What Komalji said is also correct. This capacity restriction by the government is a temporary phase. Telangana, Andhra, Karnataka, Rajasthan, they have already moved to 100% capacity. Gujarat is at 60% capacity. Punjab has moved to 66% capacity. So the trend is up. We know capacities will go back to 100%. The restrictions are temporary in nature. When will it happen is a matter of conjecture. Whether it'll take 4 weeks or 6 weeks or 8 weeks, I don't know. Depends on the respective government. And also depends on the external COVID situation. If the cases remain in control, which hopefully, fingers crossed, would continue to remain in control, I have no doubt that capacities will go back to 100% in quick time. As far as customer behavior and impact of COVID on customer behavior or the preferences or the taste, frankly, cinemas want to cater to all sorts of customers. You know, we like the typical blockbusters, but we also like these niche art house or discerning audience wale jo films hain, we also like them. Ultimately, we want to have more people inside the auditorium. So it doesn't matter whether they like a big film or a small film. My personal take is that a lot of things which we thought to be true have turned out to be false in case of COVID. So predicting what will happen with the customer behavior, not so simple. I'll give you an example. Most people thought within the exhibition business that because of COVID and these restrictions, especially in Maharashtra, where F&B products cannot be taken inside the auditorium, would hamper our F&B sale dramatically. You know, people would be afraid to eat out. People would be afraid to touch the packed items, you know, which have been prepared by the cinema staff. Surprisingly, ever since we've opened after the second lockdown, our concession sale has gone up by 34% as compared to pre-COVID. I'm not comparing it to, you know, the phase in which we were open after the first lockdown. I'm comparing to pre-COVID numbers. Our spend per patron, the metric that we use to measure the F&B sales, has jumped up by 34%. So what I'm trying to say is that I think most of us have struggled to anticipate the changes because this is happening for the first time in our lifetime. I personally think some of these habits, looking at the films which are released in South, to Sanjay ji's point, you know, commercial pot boilers, the typical masala films, which were probably planned and produced pre-COVID, released after the second lockdown, and they've done tremendous, massive business at the box office. Uh, you know, does it say that consumer behavior has not changed at all? Maybe not. Maybe people have become much more open and much more receptive, and maybe 2 months is not sufficient to gauge the response and the change in behavior pattern. So I think we'll have to wait for some more time. But my guess or our internal sort of assessment is that having a streaming platform is actually, in a counterintuitive way, good for theater industry. And the reason I say that is that now producers have another way to slice and dice their film, monetize their film, earn some more revenue. And ultimately, more revenue would mean bigger and better films, and which augurs well for theaters because that's what theatrical experience is all about. So sorry, I've given you a very long answer to your question, but my short answer is difficult to predict, but my personal take is we will not see any major changes.
Yeah. So, you know, Komal, the other point is that will the dynamics of the industry have to also change? Pre-COVID, you had a situation where a theatrical release saw a cooling off period and a fairly significant cooling off period before that movie made it to a TV screen in those days. Now you have a lot of movies which have gone OTT first. Some have done okay, some have not done very well. It's been a bit of a mixed bag. Do you think now that that period between a theatrical release and it coming to a screen near you or in your home will have to be shortened?
We have only cinema representatives here, and Kamal Gianchandani ji and Kunal ji will murder me if I say one way. And then we have producers representatives. So Sanjay Gupta will murder me if I say the other way. So I stand to die either way. So maybe this is my last comment. No. Jokes apart, I actually think that It's for the producers and distributors on the one hand, and the cinema, the multiplexes and single screen cinemas on the other hand, to sit and decide what is the ideal period. But if you ask for my personal opinion, I would still say the old formula of 6 weeks was ideal. Please, we are making it a big issue. I'm convinced that nothing has changed in these 18 months as far as the cinema going habit is concerned. For the simple reason that if an age-old habit of 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, depending on how old you are, if that can change in 18 months, then why do we call it a habit? So this is a temporary thing that has happened to us, 18 months. Don't call this a habit. The habit is still watching films on the big screen. It hasn't changed so dramatically as to warrant new rules, new guidelines, new formulae. I think the old system was the right system and was good enough, unless, of course, as I said, that the leaders of the industry from the various sectors sit and decide otherwise. But otherwise, no. There is, and there is a section for the OTT platforms, just like there is a section dedicated to cinema watching. You can't underestimate their power and their numbers. They are huge in numbers, and they still want to see films on the large screen, on the big screen.
No, and movie going, Bollywood movies is a part of Indian culture in that sense. We've all grown up with movies. Going to the movie theatre is something which is a rite of passage for all of us. So I guess that excitement will continue. If there is a change in taste, well, content is king at the end of the day, and it will have to cater to new tastes. So here's wishing all of you the best of luck, to the industry as well. And it's back to the movies for many. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us.